YouTube.
There we go.
Welcome everyone. Tonight we are doing a CNC router mixer. We do them every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, um, either on Facebook or here on YouTube. I'm with Mike tonight. How's it going, Mike?
Good, Bill. How are you?
Good, good. Um, Mike, you do quite a bit with CNC router tables. You doing anything lately this past week or
You know what, Bill? I've been two things, three things really. Been involved in kind of redoing a lot of my shop and kind of reorganizing some stuff. And so I've been like 3 weeks into that and I still haven't finished yet. And I've been spending a huge amount of time every day with Bull and trying to get him through
Mm.
his medical issues that he's going through, and another real estate deal that I'm going through with my wife here. So those three things have kept me pretty busy. That and still, I think I'm pretty well there, but making the transition from 11.5 to 12 was uh, in Aspire was took a little work, shall we say. But
Yeah, it's been an interesting challenge trying to get used to 12.
yeah, I think, a lot of people it seems like a lot of people were, I don't know, disappointed, whatever word you want to use, that they did certain things. And I've spent a lot of time just trying to take what they gave us and learn it and do it. And I think that now that I've really got to that point, I can't, I'm more than pretty, I'm very happy with what they've done and the improvements that they've made. And it's taken some workflow adjustments and some new skills to deal in the 3D end of it, which is mostly what I do. But I'm very happy. I think they, overall they did a good job. Uh One of the biggest things for me was the draw curve tool, which they took away. But and a lot of people may disagree with me, but I've found that after spending quite a few hours using the freehand drawing tool and getting skilled with that, that the freehand drawing tool and then adjusting what needs to be adjusted from that is actually quicker than the draw curve tool.
Yeah. I I was never a big user of the draw curve tool. I learned to do my sketching from James Booth at a Vectric users meeting in Canada one year. And James used to take just the straight line tool
Yeah,
and set up 5 or 6 different clicks to give him
yeah,
the shape of the profile he wanted, and then he would select them and hit S to turn them smooth so
yeah,
that he could move the handles to
yeah,
fine tune the line. And so I got used to that workflow. The so when the curve um, tool came out, I was like, meh, just it was another thing to learn. So I don't miss it as much. But the freehand tool that I use a lot with my pen um,
yeah,
tablet.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I think, when I came in and, like a lot of people, like everything in there and everything that we do, there's always a bunch of different ways to do it. And it depends upon what you feel most comfortable with.
hmm,
And I just got in the habit of using the draw curve tool. I tried the straight line and then switching them. And
yeah,
now you can use the straight line tool and just hold down the mouse and draw it, and it turns it into a smooth curve or a Bezier curve.
Hmm.
And I spent quite a bit of time in the first few days of V12 trying to make that work for me, but I just, for some reason, couldn't seem to quite get the handle of that. But I found that drawing the freehand tool, and once you kind of get the fact that for me, drawing away from me works better. So when I take in and if I try to go right to left, it's more difficult. If I go left to right, it seems to go a lot smoother for me. And now that I've got it, I found that actually the uh the vectors that are made have a lot less node points on them.
Hmm.
And so it's worked really well. Hi, Tally.
Hey, how you
Hey,
doing?
welcome, Tally.
Hey, what's going on?
We're just talking about version 12 of Vectrix Aspire and VCarve Pro.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. Um,
Yeah, we're just talking about, I don't know. I was saying, Ty, I was a big draw curve guy when I do stuff for my 3D modeling. And obviously they took that away from us. And a lot of people were complaining about that, but I found that I made me do is it made me find a different way. And I ended up using the freehand drawing tool. And I at now that we're a couple weeks in, my skill with that has gotten tremendously better. And I found that it actually works better and it's quicker. So
Oh, wait,
have
so you saying they took away the curve tool?
Yeah, draw curve tool they took away. Yeah.
I I never even paid no attention.
Yeah. Well, again, like we were saying, there's so many different ways to do everything.
Right.
Everybody has their own workflow and whatever they're comfortable with. So,
mhm.
but that's just what I found. For me, it's working fine.
You know,
Huh.
I keep the old versions of the software on my computer
Yeah.
because there's always somebody who asks for help or something, and they have an older version of the software or whatever. And if I've still got that version, then I can, do the drawing and help them or correct it, and it still works. When you get to the latest versions, and it's really impossible to make them totally backwards compatible. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish there were a way to do that, but I know that it would be a
It's,
programming nightmare.
yeah, it's pretty
Um,
tough to do that.
yeah,
I know I
so
do the same thing. I think I have from 9.5, 10, 10, 5, 11, 11, 5. And I never really thought about it. I just never took them off. But like I said, I've been helping Bull a lot. And he had a customer that he does some stuff for that I was doing some files for so they could cut them. And I did the first one in 12 and they said, oh, we can't open that. So, and they're not upgrading and it's V carb. So it's like, okay, send it back. So it was just good that I had that because if I had erased it, then I would have been, actually, I wouldn't have been because you can still go back and in the portal, you can still go back and download the last one. So 11.5 is still there, even
mhm,
though 12 is there. So,
yeah,
but yeah, like I said, like I still got them all, so that way if there's something you can do. It doesn't take up much space, so it's not really a big deal.
yeah. And eventually you stop downloading all of the free clip art and everything. I mean, that gets, um, there's Vectric over delivers when it comes to what they give you. They give you so many videos on how to use it, so much free models that you can use to modify and design new stuff
Yeah,
with. And I cannot complain about that at all. I mean, it's fantastic, but they do take up space. And
yeah,
if you're running an older computer or whatever, and hard drive space is an issue, well, that's one way to relieve some of the strain. You don't have to download them all. Um, but I eventually do.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Just because you can,
yeah.
pretty much.
Hmm.
So, Tally, seems like new ATC project is getting close to being,
It is. So I have to make some modifications because like I said, mine's a little different than what everyone else will be ordering. Um, because of my table size. So a lot of people that probably would be ordering the ATC rack, they may fit on the table or on the back of the machine. Where mine's it sits between the table and my rotary, which will be on one of the T slots, the T tracks that's available. Um, so what I had to do was I had to make sure that it can support the weight of the rack because it is big. It's like 32, I want to say like 32 inches or maybe 34 inches long. Um, and then considering the 12 collet nuts with the 12 collets, yeah,
In the bits.
yeah, and the bits.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of weight. So what I did was, um, I've noticed at first I was kind of concerned. I had to shim it to get it level. So I noticed once it's out, it cannot be, um, man, it can't be like a 16th or 8th inch off a level. If not, um, the spindle, it will not pick up the tool. So what it'll do, it'll just go down and it'll rub the top of the collet, and then it'll come back up. So what I had to do, I had to make sure that it was completely level, and then make sure that it was level this way.
Mhm.
Once I did that, then it worked perfect. And then actually tuning it, dialing it in where I found the sweet spot was getting the spindle to go down further enough to hit the bearings and the spring to give it a clutch effect. And the the Z axle speed, trying to get it to go down not fast, but the key was to get it to go down slow enough where the RPMs at the same time will match and you'll get that right torque. So today I kind of dialed it in just a little bit more. At first it was like my Z speed was around 1100. My spindle speed was around 1250, and then my my plunge depth was like 240 millimeters, which I found the plunge depth is the sweet spot. That's fine. And then I backed off on the plunge speed to about 900. And I found that plunging it at 900 millimeters per minute gave it enough torque. It was soft enough where it wasn't banging the bearings, and it counteract with the rotation of the spindle. So it was very tight. Actually, it was as tight as you would tighten it by hand. And then to um, to unload it, I had to get the RPMs a little bit up to about 1400 RPM to get it loose. I tried it at like 1230 and 1250, and it wasn't enough torque to unloosen it. It still stayed tight, so about 1400. So I'm still doing that, and then I have the electronics.
I'm gonna put you as the speaker view, Kelly,
Oh, okay.
so folks can see it.
So this right here is, these are the motors and the power supply that will run the dust shoe and the um, infrared sensor that
Okay.
will um, that's for the safety. So if it what it try to do is the infrared has to break that beam. So if it triggers and it doesn't pick up that collet, it'll try one more time, and then if it doesn't do it the second time, it'll trigger it and it'll kill the command.
Don't put it back yet.
Oh, okay.
Hold it up in profile like you had it, but then don't move. Okay, good. Now we've got ourselves a thumbnail.
Oh, okay.
Frozen.
Yeah.
So I'll show you this.
What did you say about Frozen, Mike?
Him, frozen.
Yeah.
It did freeze.
No, not on mine.
No,
Okay.
no. I was talking about you freezing so we could see what you were showing us.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
this
Bad choice of words on my part.
this is the motor driver for the NEMA 17. It has two in there, and that allowed the dust cover to flip over the cover of the collets.
Mhm.
And then the power supply, Bill, you might look familiar, but that's the same power supply as in the Centroid.
Yeah.
So
The main well power supply, probably
Yeah.
can't remember if it's 24 volt or if it
yes,
was multiple voltages. What was the
right.
little blue box as well on there?
Oh, the blue box.
Gotta keep them on point.
Okay. the uh the blue box is inside here. Let me see if I can pop it out. It's actually the little controller to trigger. It's the switch that actually triggers the motors.
Mhm.
So these two here will
Okay.
go into your relay. If you touch these together, it'll open and close the motors.
Gotcha.
So
So
these
there's a relay box inside of the little
Mhm.
blue thing, and those were wiring ferrules.
Right.
Yep.
So I had to work with I was in the middle of doing that because the actual cable that come on it wasn't actually long enough to go around my machine and go through the E-track and come up through the actual controller. So I had to buy some more security. It was 8-strand wire, and I had to run that throughout the CNC machine up through the E-track and up to the controller, and then I would wire that up to the Acorn power supply and the relays, and then I guess I would probably integrate it with the M6 code to trigger the dust shoe.
Fantastic. I'm gonna share screen briefly so that folks, in fact, while I'm here, I'm gonna enable you guys to do that too. But one of the things I've got uh, on here is the YouTube, um, excuse me, the post that Tally made in CNC Router Tips group on Facebook, to show you what this automatic tool changer looks like. And this is, this is from Rapid Change ATC, and this was the first. I guess this is production, is it? Not
Yes,
version of the ER32
yes,
pallet sized for big tables.
yeah.
And Tally posted these earlier in the week here as he was setting it up, and you can see how he was talking about having this mounted to one of the T-tracks on his table so that it's cantilevered. But really nice setup. Yeah, I can see you've got like 2 or 3 inches of overhang, it looks like.
Yeah, yep, it sure does. So I think it's let me see. Yeah, you're right. It's probably about 3 inches of overhang.
Hmm. Now you said most folks would have this mounted flat on their table somewhere, so it
Yes,
wouldn't be as big of a chore to get it trimmed.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
they would have an easier they would have a easier time mounting and getting it pretty much level because either mount on the table or the back, it'll mount on the back of the table somewhere.
Let me turn down that volume.
Uh,
This is Tally doing a tool change with it. Uh, uh, Eventually, I assume you're going to plan to have it probing downward a little faster on this tool change once you get
mm-hmm.
things dialed in.
Yep. So right now, what you let me see. I was trying to find. Oh. So
And
right now, like what you hear, the little clacking, those are the bearings. So what happened? He went from 6 bearings, using 6 bearings in the beginning with the prototype
mhm.
to 3 bearings, and we found that the 3 bearings had a better grip than the 6 bearings.
Okay.
So the clacking that's exactly what you hear. When you hear that collet nut go down, it'll rub on the bearings until it locks into place as
Mhm.
it plunges down on the
Mhm.
spring.
Now it was just running backwards to unspin the collet, or
Correct.
right? And now when it comes to pick up the new one, it runs forward.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think folks get an idea of how this works. And each time you change tools, it goes and reestablishes the tool length for that tool, so that even if like the collet slipped or something and the bit changed position inside of the collet, this would account for it.
It would account for it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing there. And pretty cool piece of uh technology there. Let me turn that off in the background. Oh yeah. Um
How long you been working on this project, Tally?
It's been a couple of months now.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of months now. Because I just, I wanted to make sure that it was right before, Don, decide to release it, and I want to try to cover all grounds that anyone would pretty much run into. Running a high horsepower spindle, considering, and then running it on a commercial grade machine. So the we was concerned about the speeds by the spindle being on 6 horsepower. Was thinking that it may not need as much um, RPMs to tighten the collet. But I found out that the spindle, it loses its torque
Yeah.
right around 900 RPM. When
Yeah.
I If I turn it down to about 900 RPM, you can actually grab the spindle. Um, so around about 1100, it started having its torque range, and then around about 1200 to 1230, that we found that was the really sweet spot as far as tightening the collet. Like, it didn't need anything higher than that. You wasn't going to increase any more um, um, torque on the nut. You just be spinning inside
But that's
tool
something
rack.
probably
Mhm.
that's gonna change with each type, with each brand of spindle.
Mhm.
A little
Yeah,
bit anyway. Not
right.
maybe not a lot, but some.
Yeah. One of the things that has always, I don't know, made me wonder is why the manufacturers of these spindles don't come out with lower RPM versions of them for different applications. Like for instance, most CNC spindles for CNC router tables are not the appropriate thing if you want to do metal cutting,
Oh, right,
because metal cutting you have to do at a lower RPM, and with the high RPM spindles that we have, high speed spindles, you don't have the torque like you were saying at low RPMs. But they can make them that way. They've been doing that for years for milling machines and everything.
right.
And I always wondered why they didn't come out with a water cooled variant that was low RPM, high torque. Um, and it's probably they just don't realize that there could be a market for that. But it would be nice to be able to have that to throw on a pretty stout router table and go
Mhm.
ahead and mill some aluminum or maybe even steel. Um, but who knows? Maybe we should. Who wants to go in on that? And we have it designed in China and right
Yeah,
over here.
Well, when I
Yeah.
talked to when I talked to Stepcraft about that,
Hmm.
and their spindle pretty is a pretty damn good spindle, but it's
Yeah.
German. And
Yeah.
and we had a discussion about that, and it's not a problem to do it. It's just a problem of cost.
Yes.
So, if you want that spindle to cover the same torque range in a wider, especially on the low end thing, it
Hmm.
becomes much more expensive because it's, a different type of windings or
Yeah.
another set of windings or something. I forget exactly what they said, and I'm not an expert on motors, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they can do it. It's just, you know, if you're cutting wood, then, so somebody probably will, Bill. Somebody
Yeah.
will, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was always interesting because like I have a Tormach milling machine, and it has a maybe a 6,000 RPM upper limit, and goes down to 100 200 RPM, and you can still have decent torque. But there are guys who want to cut wood on the Tormach, and they end up adding a high speed spindle like we use and wiring that into an auxiliary
Okay.
attachment. So they have another set of uh, XYZ0, or they have a like G52, G53,
Or
G54. They have a different setting for that spindle offsets and tools. So when they're running it, they just make sure that they put it. Let's say it's G55 is what they're using or whatever. I don't even. They're G50. Yeah, whatever. Let's see, that's the number. They just put it into that system, and then they run their code, and everything works fine. And then when they're done, they put it back in the G53 or G whatever and run from there. Uh,
Yeah, mine's maxed out at 18,000.
yeah, yeah. So, um, so the big news in the tarmac world right now is that now they've come out with new machines with higher RPMs, so that they can do tiny engravings and things like that. Um, but yeah,
Right.
and let's not forget, Tormach also has their own router table, but um, for what, and this is just my personal opinion, it's always just my opinion, for what they offer and what you pay for it, it's not the best bang for the buck in the marketplace. I think it's slightly overpriced so that you can use Pathpilot. But Pathpilot is great software. It's just, to me, without an ATC, a vacuum table, at the price point they've got it, I would look elsewhere.
Hmm.
And
Are they in-house built or are they imported and rebranded?
um, they're made to their spec.
Okay.
Um, in China, I believe, and then they bring the components here and do the final um walkthrough of it, and make
Okay.
sure everything is nice. I do not know at what level you know they actually touch the product here.
Right.
Uh, but they're all designed here, and it's they're all shipped out of here. You can't get one from China directly. They all go to Wisconsin, etc. But yeah, there is no American. Um, there are very few American-made machines. I believe Haas is one of the few, but even portions of that machine are made in China. So it's just the reality of the supply chain today.
But I mean, the good thing I know about China
Mhm.
has it as long as you have the knowledge about the machine that you want, they can accommodate that with quality.
Yeah.
If you cut corners because you're thinking you're on a budget, then that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a budget machine. I
Hmm.
mean, it can accommodate your pockets, but if you want to stretch your expense, you can get a fairly good machine with quality components.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I when I purchased my machine, I did my homework. I went, I could have went different routes, but at the same time, I wanted to kind of test what I knew about machines at the time, and I asked Blue Elephant to build this machine according to what I knew and what I wanted,
Hmm.
and they did. Um, and I've been running my machine now for 6 years, even
Yeah.
though I went through 3 controllers, not because they was bad, it was because I wanted more out of the machine.
Yeah.
And it just became a challenge. It's like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I want this. And I just kept adding stuff, to it until I pretty much added stuff to the
Well,
machine.
now you should just start building your own machines and selling them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think that's where you need to go, right?
it would,
Yeah.
you know
Just get
what,
the
it would be
funding.
nice. It would
Yeah.
be nice. I mean, it would be, I thought about it. I've thought about it
I can tell.
several times,
Yeah.
because I do have a welding background. The only thing that scared me is keeping the frame aligned. After you don't put so much heat on it, how are you gonna, temper it? How you gonna know that it's truly aligned? And that's the only thing that really is my concern about building a machine.
Hire the best welders. And
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah,
yeah, give them the right equipment, and
yeah, right.
and have a good QC, and you'll
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah, because
Uh,
I actually thought about it, just like building a steel machine, just whether it's rack and pinion or ball screw, and putting all the components that I want in it with the centroid, and just see how it turns out. That
Good.
might be something I do in the future just to
Yeah.
see.
A good jig and a laser welder will
mhm.
solve that problem.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Have you guys seen the stuff from Tamar Bar that he's been putting out with his laser? Um, he has a rotary
Oh, I've seen him. Yes.
table with a laser module that he put onto a plasma cutting table, and he got rid of the plasma cutter after he bought this laser module. But he's doing all of his cutting and everything. He's finally designed it and got it working. It's beautiful piece
Yeah.
of machinery. Um, and he posted every single step of the way as he was designing it. He went from a wooden prototype to a fully steel machine that he cut out using the laser. And previous wooden versions. That's
That
pretty
yeah,
cool.
I've been watching him. That's amazing. I look at a lot of individuals that's in the Centroid group that's make them building machines and how they add their
Hmm.
controllers and things like that. And what really amazed me is the ones that convert them precision Matthew mills.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that is nice. They put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, I didn't do a Precision Matthews. I did a Grizzly,
Okay.
G0704. But yeah, it's the same basic thought process. There was a guy, he went by the screen name of Haas, Hoss,
Okay.
and he sold a set of DVDs that gave you plans and things to choose a whole bunch of different mods that he had with not only the Grizzly but also the Precision Matthews, so you could, you know, do your own.
That's yeah. I'm fascinated. If my shop was big enough, I probably have a few um, CNC machines and probably meals because that's my next thing. I would like to be a meal. I talked to you about it, Bill. I don't know what
Hmm.
I do with it. It's just a one. It's like people like sport cars, and I like automation.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the stuff from tomorrow. Um,
Last summer, I had the opportunity to go to, and I can't say where it was because I had to sign an NDA before they'd even let me in. But uh, to see, they were, I can't even say what they were making, but to see them cut all of the steel parts on a laser, and then saw the automated jigs that they had, and laser welding with robots. And when that thing, in a matter of minutes, it was cut, slapped into the jig, and welded, and it came off, and it was just the most beautiful piece of metal and welding that you've ever seen in your life. There was no slag, there was no, I mean, it was just
yeah.
beautiful, just the way it came off before they even sent it for whatever powder coating or whatever they were doing with it. But it was just incredible to see that operation. It was like, oh my God, look at this.
Hmm.
Crazy.
Okay, I found a video, and I'm gonna share the screen again and show folks that video. But this is all right. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
Oh
This is
yeah, there's
this is
right. Okay.
yeah, this is an earlier version of the machine that he built. He's doing square pipe.
I like how it feeds out.
Yeah, he's got a fourth axis rotary with a chuck on the back, and there's a chuck in the front. Here's some of the parts that he was cutting out um, with this machine, and it also will work on the regular portion of the table. This is a laser, um, fiber laser. It's not a plasma cutter, and you can see that was in real time how quickly he
Yeah,
cut.
those
How many
cuts, those
how many
cuts
how
are
many
so
watts?
nice.
How many watts is his?
I think he said 2000, something like that.
Okay.
Um, he gives the name of it, and he even shows. Well, I'm gonna stop this now, but he even shows some CAD drawings of this and the animations, as what actual parts go in. My only question after seeing it is when he builds the final front chuck for this tubing holder, as he's demonstrating it, it spins around to
Mhm.
to orientate, but he has two sets of linear bearings, and he has ball nuts a left hand and a right hand, so that when the nut turns, it draws them together to go closer. When it goes out, it pushes them apart. He's only shown us him tightening that with a nut driver, with a uh, like a drill with a socket on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered if he intended at some point to put steppers on that so that it would, and limit switches so that it would automatically close around the tubing.
Right.
But then you got to deal with how do you get that to spin and not, yeah. Anyway, just fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
That he's been able to build with this, and he's done most of this since the beginning of the year. Maybe it was October, I think. That's first time I saw anything up there. It hasn't been very long.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love
And
stuff like that.
he's doing it all with a 4-axis centroid acorn, and he has it set up in such a way that it disables certain stepper motors when he puts it into the position to use the tube cutter.
Okay.
It locks the gantry forward in that forward position, and it turns that set of motors off and turns the other one on for the back motor that was driving the whole thing back and forth. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on there that he had to figure out, but he got it all done.
Yeah, that's the only thing. When you're doing modification in the shop, man, it takes like you thinking you're going in there and I've spent, let me see, yesterday I probably spent about an hour and a half fooling with the tuning.
Yeah.
And trying to shimmy, trying to figure out, dang, it's not, to pick up 1 through 3, but it's not picking up 5 through 8, and it's completely rubbing on 12. It's just, but it's really satisfying to do it. As long as you don't have people around you that's haggling you or, bothering you while you're doing it. I work better alone. But just go in there in the morning or so, and before anybody get up, or late in the afternoon, and just go in there and clear your head and just get to work, and you start seeing that progress, and it's really satisfying. Figuring out. I think that's what I like most about CNC, not the project itself, but the end results and the gratification. Once you get a project to a person, the gratification that they have. But when you first start, all the trial and errors that you went through to solve the issues to make it just be perfect to the customer.
Yeah. People don't see that, and you sure can't really charge for it.
Right.
Well, you should, but they just figure you push a button and your product comes out the other end. And it's not the case. That is definitely not the case.
Hours designing, hours of
I mean, I've been working on a stupid beehive for like 3 or 4 months. And it's something that you could have gone out shop and cut with a radial arm saw or something. But
right,
because the design intent was to make it idiot proof, so that anybody could put it together and have it aligned
right,
square, and make it also impossible for them to put the wrong part in the wrong place. That's where the time is, and that you really just can't appreciate it.
Oh, I get it. So I'm working on, oh my God. So I'm gonna tell you, the big thing with this, with the rapid change, it uses the macro inside centroid. Okay. So it doesn't run, it will not run on your traditional post processors that you could just drop in Vectric or Rhino Cam or anything like that. All of them has to be modified. So the Vectric part was easy. I just skimmed through that. I understood what it needed to do. So first of all, the main thing, the spindle has to stop. So when it gets that M6 command to pick up another tool, the spindle has to stop. It can't go to the tool rack at 13 and 15,000 RPM and start to plunge it. That was one of the issues that I was having. So in the code, I put in a M5 command to stop the spindle. And then I put in a G4 command to dwell and a P3, which is dwell for 3 seconds. So when the M6 command came up, the tool raises up what it was I want to say G53, raise it up, stop the spindle, pause for 3 seconds while it's making the transition to drop to pick up another tool.
So when you say stop the spindle, do you mean actually stop it from rotating?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So how did you do that? Because I know like my spindle, when it shuts off, God, it runs for a minute before it stops.
oh, it does? Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean that thing just spins forever.
Do either of you have a braking resistor in
mhm.
your circuit? Okay.
I,
That's
I'm
why
pretty sure I don't.
Telly's
Okay.
Telly's stop. So a braking resistor might cost you 20, 30 bucks to buy from an automation place. And you wire it into your spindle with a VFD. And when you receive the command for the spindle to stop, all that energy that was going goes into this resistor as heat.
Yeah.
And there's a heat sink on the front of it and everything, and so it's able to use the resistance to stop the spindle quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And on some of the old ones, like there was an Ohms rod that I worked on a few years ago, and they had this big bank of resistors for that spindle, because it was like a 10 horsepower spindle, and you'd actually see them glow for a second. That's
Oh,
how much energy was coming off and required to make it stop. Yeah.
see, mine's is integrated. Mine's is integrated into my VFD,
Yeah.
so I can tune it of how fast I want it to stop or continue
Okay.
Yeah.
to spin.
And VFDs will do that, but there's also this item
Mm.
that you can add, and it'll protect your VFD first,
Okay.
and extend the life. Marty's from Marty's Garage
Yes.
uses them. There's in a few videos you might want to check out. For those he's got a YouTube channel. I think it's Marty's CNC Garage or something like that.
Correct. Yep.
Um, and he's very good at telling you what he's doing and why.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I used his stuff when I was trying to wire up this lathe with the Acorn. So
Yeah. Also that guy, Clout. What is it? Clout 42 or
Cloud,
something
yeah,
like.
42, yeah,
Yeah. He's
yeah.
he's good. Um. So that was one of the issues that I ran into, and like I said, I work out a few programs. So the so so the next one was RhinoCam, trying to get it
Mhm.
to work out of RhinoCam. And the first test that I did, man, it did it so fast, and the tool just it like picked up, and I was thinking, oh, it's gonna stop. And it just came over and it started plunging, and I had to hit the tool check button, before it plunged. I was like, this thing doesn't stop.
Mhm.
So I figured I figured it out through trial and error. trying to get it to command properly at the, let me see, come on. You mind if I share my screen?
No, no.
Let me let's see what I have. Okay, so
Making a stool.
yep, making a stool. So this was just a sample piece just to test the movement of the machine. But let me show, let me see if this works. Okay, so
Wonder why you rastered out the insides instead of just doing a profile cut
okay,
with tabs.
because I just wanted to do a tool change. I
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
make it do a tool change. Okay, so this is Vectric right here. So this is Vectric.
We're not seeing
Oh,
the Vectric at the
oh, you're
moment.
not.
We're
Wait a
seeing
minute.
a gray screen.
A gray screen. Let me see. Okay. Let me share
Interesting.
that screen one. Let me see if that works. Can you see that?
We're seeing a post processor.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. So this right here, this is the Vectric post processor that I modified. So Vectric was easy to do. So as you go down and you see where the tool pickup, and then the spindle turn clockwise. But this is where it changes, right here, right there. This is what you need. You need to turn that spindle off, okay? And then once that spindle turns off, then you have right here, pause for 3 seconds before it makes the movement for the tool change. And then after it does its tool change, then what I did was I sent it as a rapid move after it finished to go to Z0, turn the spindle off, and then it pauses. It pauses, and then it goes back to the location and it drops the tube right here. That wasn't a problem. It was, this is when it became an issue. This right here this is the G code for RhinoCam. So let's go up right here. So in all my post processes, I write them where they give all the information about the file, because a lot of times I go out in the shop and I forget what I did, and I forget when I did the G code. So I put in all the information about the file. So with this one, disregard the 220 of whatever, because it's not 20. But on this one, it tells you, they pick up the tool, and then it'll go to its location. And then right here, it turns on the spindle at 13,000 RPM, but it pauses for 4 seconds before it does its tool height. And then after that, it kicks on the dust collector. It'll kick on the dust collector. And then as it goes down to
Wait. Question. You're saying it turned on the spindle before it did the tool height?
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right. Okay.
I'm sorry. So what did it do? Okay, so this command, once this command come in, the tool change, and then it go to G0 and it turns on the spindle, that the macro that's in the centroid is already controlling to touch off
Gotcha.
before it makes its movement. So the macro just takes over. And then it comes back and it reads the G code from
Okay.
the lines.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But if you go, let me see, fine. So right here, again, you have to tell it to turn the spindle off, because if you don't, it won't turn the spindle off. The spindle will go at its rated speed right to the T track, and it'll try to pick up. So once I figured that out for RhinoCam, that wasn't an issue. But every software is not as easy. With Desk Proto, it was like backwards. It was totally backwards. Like I had to rewrite the post processor to give it the same command orders that it was done in Rhino, because it would never turn the spindle off. Like when I sent the file, the spindle will come on, the dust collector come on, then it kicks off. And all of a sudden, now you don't have no spindle speed, you don't have, the dust collector is not working, and then it'll do the tool change, but it never kicks on the dust collector again. And I was like, what the heck? So I was just finishing this just before I got online. But I had to change the order of the way it did it, which is this here. So, and then let me show you. Let me see if it'll go ahead. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what it looks like from the start command. So it just have all the information of the post processor, and then it goes through your regular commands, and then the end commands I had to put in there again, stop the spindle. But this is where it changes, right here, where in the tool change, I had to tell it to stop the spindle and put in the pause. And then write out the T command and the M6 and etc. For that to work. So at sometime tomorrow, I would test it again to see if that's right. So that'll be 3 programs that I can run out of with the two finger.
Usually when you do a T command, you have to also do an H command for the length of the tool.
Right.
Is it setting the H based on the touch off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So let me see. Let's go back.
I'm not a big G code guy, but there's some little things in. Yeah.
Okay. So right here. So the T1.
H1. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So every time it touches off, then the rapid change configuration records that temporarily in Centroid. So Centroid sees it as the H, and you'll get that T3H3. That's so it'll constantly change, and regardless of what tool you put in there, whether you put a quarter inch, in tool 1, and then you come back and you put, a 4 millimeter in tool 1, when it touch off, it's going to say T1, H1, but the height distance is going to be different.
Yeah. Yeah, so because there's a off tool offset length table, and that's where it would store that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Um, pretty smart stuff. Pretty smart stuff. A lot of coding needed to get it going for your particular machine, but nothing really crazy. Um,
Yeah. And Don and his son is, I think, James. They like he's really phenomenal when it comes to the coding aspect. Like being
sure.
able to make it do what it does. I mean, it's amazing. And then figuring out that, because he doesn't work with Vectric, he worked with Fusion 360. So so once we got it going, then I was like, uh-oh, we're gonna have a problem. So I can't run the regular Centroid post processor because it's not gonna act right. So now I got to tweak it to get it to be able to, stop the spindle, go touch off, etc.
Yep.
But I wanted that one more feature where it'll come back to that same location. And I found out some certain G codes is like, what was it? What G90, is it G98? I want to say certain G codes don't work with certain machines. Like it'll make it do crazy stuff. And I want to say it was like G98 or something like that. It made it return, but when it returned, it was too low, and it tried to go over to like to crash it. And I was like, that's not gonna work. So I had to look up. I look at Haas tip of the day. So I went on there and started learning other G codes to make it raise up to clear that height.
G98 bit breaker.
Yeah.
G98 bit breaker.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. I want to say, yep, that's exactly what it is. G98 initial return point.
Yeah.
That will crash your machine.
Yeah, and there, for whatever reason, some post processors will move before they will retract. And I don't understand at all why you would ever want that to be the
Mm-hmm.
case. But yeah. And so, you're going along fine, and then there goes a $50
Yep.
bit.
Yep.
Yep.
That does happen. And I found that out. It was I tell you, because I had to research it. It was um this G98 and what was the other one? G28. G98 and G28. Those are the ones to avoid at the end of your post process, because
Yeah.
they would not retract. They will move before retract. They'll do a X and Y movement before retracting the Z.
Yeah. We're gonna give
Those-
go ahead.
Those little bit pieces fly far.
Oh yeah. And they hurt if you happen to be in the way.
Oh yeah. Yep, they do.
Yeah. And they hurt you several times generally as they spin. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm gonna share a little YouTube love for some of the channels that we mentioned.
Okay.
Y'all can see the share screen, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
This is Marty's CNC Garage, and he does all sorts of things where he rebuilds machines from the ground up. He mostly uses Centroid stuff. Very, very easy to follow and understand.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives you a lot of information that other folks won't. So if you get a chance, hop by Marty's channel, give him a like or a subscribe. Look at that, I'm doing his own his promoting.
Excellent.
Another, go ahead.
Excellent. Marty is excellent. I had to reach out to him about my limit switches because mine was normally open, I want to say, and I
Yep.
didn't want to swap them out. And I reached out to him, and he helped me get my Centroid all configured and everything.
Yep.
Excellent dude.
What I like is he will take commonly available used machines off the market that somebody else is getting ready to scrap or get rid of, and then he will retrofit them, with Centroid and bring them up to date. And now, they built these machines like tanks, and they could last forever. And he doesn't just say, well, yeah, I'm a magician and I can put together the electronics or something. He will go in and he will literally show you the let me see if I can fast forward a little bit to where he's doing this, but he show you the wiring diagram,
Yeah.
and how he does things. He's got a servo driver right there in his hand, and he's telling you about the different connectors and pins and everything, and how to hook it up to Acorn. And he's even drawing out the like the wiring from the back, from pin to pin. That's the kind of stuff he does. So very, very good channel if you want to learn more stuff about, how to retrofit or rebuild the CNC. And he's got the motor spinning and everything. And he shows you in the CNC 12 how it goes. So, kudos to Marty. He helped me out quite a bit, and I appreciate it. The other fellow that Tally mentioned is Cloud 42. And he's also got quite an amazing YouTube channel where he shows the things that he's doing. He has converted a lathe. He's converted CNC stuff. He's always doing little projects. Let me find one. Really,
And he does everything. He all over the place. He do
yeah.
3D printing, fiber, laser.
Mhm. Yeah, he's got this thing called the what is it? Something kind of lead screw. Um, anyway, it's instead of adding full CNC to his lathe, he added this box that allows it to do some things like a CNC and other things like a manual lathe. The electronic lead screw. Here we go. So I realize that this is a router show, but uh, we got to sit through the obligatory commercial. Uh, but he wired up, steppers to his machine to let him do things like threading or tapping or whatever on this lathe using that little control box that you saw up on the top, and he just goes through and he shows you how he set it up, and all the things that he had to do in order to make it work. He even makes some of the parts and shows you as he's mounting it all up. And he's very good at explaining what's going on. And you can see the little box up here. And he just types in commands and it will do, those things and under his control. So he has the best of both worlds, CNC and otherwise. So, check him out. I spelled it with a K, but it's a C. Oh, for and maybe give him a like and subscribe. Anyway, those are two channels that guys are doing great work with CNC stuff and sharing that information with us. So, hey Dion, great to see you today. How's life out in the islands?
It's very hot these days. We had a little problem with the Sahara dust, so a lot of people had allergic reactions. But everything seems to be pretty much along the normal scale. Weather is hot. Um, we had an incident with a bull shark recently where a tourist was attacked in our twin island, Tobago, which is more or less the tourist island.
Yeah, you're in
So,
Trinidad and Tobago.
yeah, so there are some people who want to have a shark fest with when they hunting down the shark, and some people want to treat it like a conservationist effort to, be sensitive to animals. So there's that kind of debate going on now. But we haven't had shark attacks in our country like this, so it's a kind of a strange event.
Yeah.
And that's it really.
Some want,
Yeah.
some want Shark Fest, and some of the sharks want breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how are things as far as your CNC efforts going down there?
Well, to be honest, I had a problem with the machine being down for a while. But I am doing some artwork. Well, um, teamed up with somebody who wants to deal more with the marketing aspect, so I can focus on production. So for now, I'm just working with the software that I have and coming up, creating reliefs. That's what I'm doing right now. So the
Oh, very
software
good.
I have is ArtCam,
Mhm.
and it's no longer in circulation. It has been discontinued. So accessing the universe of other art cameras is kind of a challenge, but
Mhm.
I have enough training videos to help me.
Excellent. Excellent. And we see Scott's also joining us. Now we're getting more of a full house like we normally have.
Yeah.
How you
I
guys doing?
Very good. I was afraid I would lose some people since we weren't doing these on Facebook anymore because Facebook changed the policy to not allow third-party streaming inside of Facebook groups.
Oh.
So I'm still trying to figure out a way to do this broadcast inside of our group and yet still have the ability to invite all of these people in to give their actual comments because Facebook's app at the moment is limited to 2 people that are, as far as I'm aware of.
Yep.
Yeah.
I,
So
are any of you guys familiar with Teams?
Microsoft Teams.
Yep, yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I use that quite a bit when dealing with other shops and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you can't use it in Facebook groups.
No, no,
They removed
not
the
Facebook.
API. Now, I could broadcast this to the CNC router tips page, but I suspect at some point in the future they were going to start charging for you to live stream to your business page.
Really?
That's just a guess.
Yeah.
You know, I can't figure out why else they would be eliminating the API unless they were going to come out with their own version of Zoom or uh, something. I don't know. It's just too early to know. It's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Oh,
I use Facebook uh chat messenger and do live calls and stuff too a lot. A lot of people prefer that. It's
Hmm.
just easier, I guess.
And you're
What is
able
the
to
platform?
StreamYard still works, Bill.
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, it was working today
Um,
inside the
through
Facebook group.
through RTMP you can do StreamYard, but StreamYard also doesn't have as many people allowed as well.
Yeah, you can do 9
Mhm.
with StreamYard. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're supposed to be able to set up Zoom as with RTMP, but I just haven't been able to get it to work. Others have mentioned that they've gotten it figured out, and maybe if somebody out there has that solution, contact me. You can contact me through the YouTube channel, the Bill Griggs YouTube channel, or inside of the Facebook group, CNC Router Tips. Um, you know, because our members enjoy doing this, and I
Yeah.
want to continue to do it. But here's the interesting part. here's the interesting part to me. We got more views last week doing it on YouTube than we did for the previous two doing it on Facebook. And if I were Facebook, I'd be afraid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys can monetize on YouTube also, can't you?
Yeah, we could. Don't know if I will or not. Yeah, I have other things that I would rather monetize with that are not just the general public. Just things that for the people who really need something.
Hmm.
That would be, I think, more in line with the way I am. I'm not.
Yeah, like affiliate links or something like that you can send to your friends and members. You know,
Um.
if they
Well, that is
buy.
one. Yeah, that's one. That's one method as well. But yeah, we can get off commercial as pursuits for now because that's not really
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah,
whole point of it.
yeah.
Um. As I say here with a logo from one of the web companies I like, but uh, this is by no means an ad. They have to blur it out. I don't know. Uh, anyway, things have been pretty cool. Scott, what have you been working on? Anything good?
Uh, I've been. I think I mentioned it on an earlier stream. A paper towel drawer.
Mhm.
Have you guys ever done one?
No,
No.
I've never done one.
I got one figured out. I just don't. I don't. I'd like to see it tested before before they go and say, oh, we can make paper towel drawers any size you want.
Hmm.
You know.
So I'm gonna ask the question because there's probably somebody sitting in the audience who's thinking this. What's a paper towel drawer and why do you need it?
I guess it's um well, what it is, it's a drawer with like a U-shaped front on it.
Hmm.
Okay, that's the actual drawer front. And you open the drawer and you got room for maybe a couple extra rolls in the back, but the front roll sits on a dowel and you shut the drawer and you access the paper towels without having to pick up anything. I guess that's the concept.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So it comes right through the door, rip off a sheet, and you're good.
Yeah, yeah. And the
Yeah.
other ones are, if you get 3 roll pack, then you just put the other two in the back behind the other one. And if the drawer's wide enough, you can get some extra space on the sides for like saran wrap or whatever,
Hmm.
stuff like that. The only problem that I've got right now is getting it below 16 inches wide and have it work for a standard length 11-inch wide paper towel roll. So I'm allowing an inch on each side, so it's 13 inches. The opening, minimum opening would have to be.
Hmm.
And of course, the drawer box has to be smaller than that, for the slides and all. But it's not that complicated. It's doable, but I kind of when I do something like that, I kind of like to think down the road. Well, how many are they planning on making of each? They
Hmm.
gonna make one every 2 years, or are they gonna make maybe another one again, or is it gonna be a regular thing every job? Oh, we want one of those. Which would be a good thing. But that's how I like to try to try to get it. Where they can just it's a like any other thing, mass produce it, I guess, call it,
Hmm.
or at least speed up the process of getting it cut out and put together.
Hmm.
Without having to have people come knocking on the door. What is this part for? Where does it go? You know. Um, but
Yeah. Um, when I made model airplane kits, and things, we had very detailed instructions with drawings and text explaining how everything went together. And there was usually by the time I was leaving that business, we were putting in photographs of the different assembly steps, and that wasn't as easy as it sounds, because back
Mm.
at that time, at the like turn of the century, if you will.
That
Uh,
makes me feel old because
yeah,
I remember that.
yeah. Black and white was not easy to produce in like grayscale, so that you could see good pictures. You know, you almost had to do offset printing in order to pull that off, and that got really expensive. So um, anyway, part of I guess why I went down this rabbit hole is because you got to make it super simple for somebody to understand your design intent, what
Yeah,
it is trying to get them to do, um, and how it's supposed to go together. So,
yeah.
now, as far as how many people want a paper towel drawer, you got to do market research on that, or you got to put it out there. Um,
At least get it in a couple of kitchens and their friends come by. Oh, I like
yeah,
that. Can you make me one?
there's a
Oh, I was thinking about getting my kitchen refaced too. Can he do that? You
yep.
know?
There's something that folks do on websites and with online products that might be helpful to you. Um, they will do what's called a soft launch. So they will do up the ad for the product. They'll show how it's used, the like basically a really quick, 30 or 40-second video that shows, hey, here it is, pull out the paper towel. You're putting in the extra rolls or whatever. They'll do that, and then they'll put a call to action at the end where you can order it.
Yeah.
And they won't have cut the first one. They won't have any in stock. Okay. But they run traffic to that ad on Facebook or YouTube or wherever, and people see that, and then they watch and see if people ordered it, and then they immediately refund the money. So for this test, but they
Mhm.
have tested whether or not there's demand for the product, but
Exactly.
how many people order it, and then they go into production, and they capture the email list of the people who ordered, and they say, hey, we're going to be in production at this point. We'll contact you again when they're ready. Would you like to be on our fast mover or first response thing, whatever? And then you go, well, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
um, it's a whole lot cheaper than building a factory full of these things and then finding out nobody wants them.
Yeah. Yeah. That wasn't the intent of this.
Hmm.
This was just, for a custom cabinet job, but something they could offer their customers
Hmm.
basically, and
Yep.
not be a big deal to get into cabinet, because in the program, that the e-cabinets program, you can't custom design drawer boxes like that. You can't put dividers and partitions inside a drawer box and then put that drawer box in the cabinet. You have to kind of go around your thumb to get to your elbow in that sense, because you have to make a separate cabinet designed like you want the drawer box, using fixed shelves and stretchers and everything, and or fixed shelves and partitions,
Hmm.
and get all your joinery like you want it, and do your part editor cuts to get the U shape out of the front on the front and all that, and you just resize that cabinet to be the size drawer box you need, and manually put it inside the cabinet and associate it to that cabinet and save that to your library, or not associate it, but make it an assembly and save
Hmm.
it to your assembly library, and then you just load it in the job, put the entire thing in there, and it's in there without having
Yep.
to do any reinventing the tire or anything like that.
Hmm.
Just grab the
Now,
cabinet you.
Scott,
Uh,
many of the people who are listening might not have any idea what e-cabinet is. You briefly talk about that. It's a free program, is it not?
yeah, yes, it's free. And it's a real powerful program. It will generate all the code you need to cut on a CS on thermwood they're Thermwood routers, and they used to have a ShopBot link. I don't know if they still do or not. I saw something about they were not going to sell the link anymore. They had so many in stock, get it while it lasts thing. So I don't know if they still have that or not. They still support it if you could get a hold of it. They still support it and everything. But and it's you design it, and if you're familiar with other cabinet design software, it's basically similar to that, similar to 2020 and Kitchen Designer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of those programs or not.
I actually signed up for it and got approved for it, and I downloaded the eCabinet. But I think, like you said, the only issue is that you can't export it out to any other G code format
Yeah,
except for Thermwood. So it's definitely proprietary.
yeah, it's and they got it that way. I mean, they offer the program for free, and they give you all kinds of tools that you can, if you were really bound and determined to cut it on another machine, you could get the parts cut on it another machine, because you get all the information you need to create the DXF files to send to your machine. If you got a, DXF file, a CAD program like VCarve or anything like that, because I've done stuff in VCarve and sent it to Thermwood machine several times as a DXF file.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
but
a
can
nice,
you do the
really nice.
reverse? Yeah.
No, you
It's a
can't do
nice
the reverse.
program. Yeah, it's a nice program. Like it has it has everything in it. But like I said, I couldn't when I did something for a sample and tried to export it out, it only gave me an option to go to the Thermwood.
Yep, TWD file.
Yeah.
Now you could take your cabinets or your cabinets into the line drawing editor and export your line drawings out as a DXF file.
Oh,
But
okay. Excellent. That'll work then. If I can do that,
Mhm.
that'll be great.
well, the only thing is you got to be aware of is whenever you take your cabinets into line drawing editor, they come in line drawing editor actually 3D, because you could take it and hold down shift and rotate it around and actually see the cabinet or whatever you got in there in 3D form. You could rotate it around X, Y, Z, and all that in the line drawing editor. So when you export, even if you just isolate a cabinet end and rotate it so you're looking face down at the inside, look like looking straight down on the inside of that end, export it as a DXF file and open it up in VCarve is what I tried. And you can see the shelf pin holes and everything in there, but you can also tell that it's actually got it's got 3D in there. You could take it to NanoCAD and actually spin it around in 3D and look at it. So it can be problematic because the shelf hole pins can be off a little bit because they're kind of in their isometric looking almost. But it's doable. You could definitely get the sizes, and if you got standard ways that you do your dados and all that, you could no problem, make an end, and you need four lefts and four rights or whatever. You just bring up four lefts and four rights and nest them in V-carve and cut them.
Nice.
But you can definitely lay out a kitchen in e-cabinets, and that's what it's real good for, because you could do photo, like the trunk you see in the background, that was done in e-cabinets.
No,
in
okay.
my, in my background there. That's a presentation rendering.
Oh, nice. Fellas, I'm about to go. Ladies, I'm about to go. It was nice talking to you. I guess I will see y'all again next Wednesday.
Fantastic. Well,
All right.
Kelly, thanks for sharing the information about the rapid change ATC with us. We appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. Hopefully,
Yeah,
I
have a
have
good.
some more information once I
Yeah.
get back in the shop and install the motors and everything.
Yeah. Tell the guy he's welcome to come on and talk about it himself if he wants.
Yeah, I sure
Yep.
will. I'll
Yep.
pass the word.
Cool. All
All
right.
right. Y'all
Have a good night,
Have a
Tally.
good one,
one.
Tally.
All right.
I am also gonna head out. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic.
Take care, man.
Mike, enjoyed talking with you.
Yep. See you next week, man. Take care.
Yep.
I have one quick question. Last week, somebody, I forget who it was now, was showing a video of their machine doing the keep out zones, and they had some kind of a laser pointer on their machine. Is that something
Mhm.
that's made special for to put on the machine, or is that something that he modified himself and did? Do you know?
I don't know if that was Milo Scott. I don't know if his was a custom made thing, but I do know that you can buy those a lot of different places. Um, I did one years ago with a part I bought on Amazon. They're just laser pointers,
Yeah,
really, but he was using his to show, where the spindle would be traveling, and you can Amazon even carries them. So it's just a matter of
yeah,
then mounting it and knowing what the offset from your tool bit to the laser pointer is.
yeah,
And you could set that up inside of your program so that you'd have a tool offset, or you could mount it right to the spindle on the center line if you really wanted to.
yeah. I thought that would be a cool thing to use to do different fixture offsets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can dial it in good.
Yeah. I got one that was a crosshair. It had it projected two lines
Hmm.
at a 90-degree angle. They also have ones that are just a dot, and some you can adjust the width of the final dot by tightening or loosening the end of the laser. So they're pretty easy. Most of them run off of 5 or 12 volts, depending on which kind you buy, and um, not hard to hook up at all. If you put a relay in line with them, you could turn them on and off automatically with the software. Yeah. Or you could do like I did. I had just a little single pole uh, switch on there.
Yeah,
I think it was single pole, single throw, I think. Anyway, it didn't matter. Just you're only switching a few volts off and on. And
yeah. I was
yeah.
thinking something with a battery or something where you could just click it on like a regular laser pointer.
Yeah,
Like,
mine had a battery in it, but you got to remember to turn it off.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So they probably have some that are battery powered that have a automatic turn off in them. If it's been inactive for 5 minutes, it'll turn off or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, they're just laser pointers. I don't know if CNC for PC has them. Um, but there's automation technology used to have them. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, I'll do some searching around, see what I can find on those.
House is in the house. So,
All right.
how's it going,
Sorry, I
House?
get late today. I've been like busy and sorry. I've been busy all this time. I missed a lot of your lives. But I'm trying to be there like for at least like 10 minutes just to see you and say hi.
Mhm.
And congrats you guys for keeping this standing up.
Mhm.
And so keep the work. It looks like we are together in this journey.
Definitely. Thank you. Um, it's been fun because we're getting together. We got a lot of knowledgeable people coming here to talk about stuff. Like I didn't know about e-cabinets. I didn't know about the rapid change ATC. Those weren't things that I had done. But thanks to the great people who come to this, we all learn something. It's not just me sitting here talking like when I was doing my podcast. you know Now we have, more people sharing what they know, and that's really cool. Um, I'm curious, is there anything you guys would like to see as a subject from one of these? Because we could also plan one out where we have a particular topic instead of just the round table kind of thing that we do now. But I still want to keep this format, but and some special topic if you had, that would be really cool. If anything comes to mind.
No, I was thinking of the choice of doing inlay versus resin and how people think about that. I mean, it's not that serious, but when you possibly when you're looking at using multiple colors or vivid colors, you may want to use the resin.
Mhm.
Um, but just a question of how you add it, what sort of colors and modifications that you will make to what we would call like a plain design, and giving it more interest in adding other wood tones if it's staining, or
Mhm.
the inlay, or using resin as a finished product. And then you have the cost element. With the resin, it will be a lot more costly, but the inlay may take a lot more time.
No, I think the
Um,
resin probably takes more time.
oh yes, to dry. That's
Yeah.
right.
And
Yeah,
after it's dries, then you have to finish it. There's a
right.
lot of sanding and buffing involved with the resin finish.
So you
Um,
have that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but yeah, I
So
mean, they're both great. It just depends on accomplish.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, Ned. Uh, Ned
How
from
you going?
Sydney, Australia.
Hey.
You have an opinion on resin or versus inlay?
Yeah, there's the keys there.
Your mic is open house.
If you're asking me,
Yeah.
I actually do like both. They both have their applications. I personally think that a few people go overboard with the resin, but yeah, no, they all have their place. It all depends on what you're doing, I guess.
Yeah. The good thing about the resin is you can change up a lot with just changing pigment. Making up different batches and different colors. The downside of that is you spend a lot on pigment, to have a variety. But it's the same problem that you have with inlays. Well, you got to have some Purple Heart, you got to have a little ironwood, you got to have a little whatever uh, in order to pull it off. So you choose your poison.
Or you could paint it, stain it.
Yep.
Don't forget wood dyes.
Actually,
My,
speaking of wood dyes, one that I tried not too long ago was actually this is particularly with the with oak, with the white European oak. If you expose it to ammonia, you get to darken or blacken the wood, and it comes out you can make it come out a really dark, almost ebony color. It turns the tannins black.
Oh, very
So
cool.
it actually leaves the grain still in place. It's preferable over staining. If you
My granddad used to use he used to do a lot of welding and metalwork and stuff, but he would take his scraps and put it in a 5-gallon bucket of water and wipe down oak with that
Yep.
water, that rusted water, and it would turn it just about, it looked like it's 150, 200 years old on the side of the building that whole time.
And
Yeah.
using that same technique, that was actually applied quite a fair bit in America on a lot of your Kentucky and so on rifles. If you heat that up, it'll actually turn to a cherry red.
You just never know what you're going to learn in one of these things.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I focused on for the last 2 years is finishing wood because I found it really difficult. It was easier to work with, but to get the color, the different textures, and so on, that was really hard. So I've did a fair bit of research on it. And being a shooter, I've always looked at different ways of restoring rifle stocks to their original. So, but yeah, no, the finishing wood is probably one of the bigger challenges in CNC, in my opinion.
You know, yeah, getting to the point where you're ready to finish is also a challenge because people think that you take a piece of wood off, after you're done carving and you're ready to go. But no, there's a lot of hand finishing and sanding that still has to go into it.
Well, actually, I classify all of that in a finishing wood, whether it's sanding,
Yeah.
staining, painting. There's a lot of technique and work.
Yeah, I agree.
It
So
sure is. That's what I did for near about 30 years. It's a lot. It's very involved. You develop a process after a while that works, especially if you're in a production-oriented environment. With a spray booth and got people sanding for you. You kind of get a technique down that works, and as long as everybody follows the process and does what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it consistently, you can isolate a lot of issues. If you're having a problem with something, you know right where to go to look.
mhm.
My biggest problem was matching colors because I got pretty good at it, and I guess the boss man was proud of the fact that we can match just about anything that came through the door. And next thing I knew, I was having people coming in there with pictures from a magazine and wanting to match this shaded area of this picture here. I'm like, now you realize that's a shadow. Well, yeah, but that's the color I wanted. That's what I wanted it to look like. Next thing you know, you got a week's worth of trial and error matching going on to get a good sample together.
Yeah.
People don't realize how expensive that gets. You got to have a lot of stock on hand just to be able to get a 4x4 sample.
Actually, these days they're pretty good in color matching in the paint stores, etc., which isn't too bad. But I just simply say, I'd pull out the Pantone color chart in front of them and say, okay, well, tell me which one you want, and that's what you'll get.
Yep, that's that's the best way to do it. Yep. And then when you do them
And
a
then,
sample, and that's what they're going to get.
yeah, and then get them to sign off on it.
Yep, and keep a
Yeah.
control sample for yourself
Yeah.
for sure, especially if it's a multi-step finish where you got this color dye, this color stain, shaded, clear coat, etc., glaze, all that kind of stuff. If you don't have a control sample to go by, you'll 9 times out of 10 you'll never get back to what you originally done for them. Not 100%, but sometimes it's hard to even get 100% back even with control samples.
And I guarantee if the cabinets are in a sunny spot, they're not the same shade they were when they left your shop
No,
after
for
a
sure
while.
not. Especially if they're made out of cherry. They can sit there at the garage in the bay door open unfinished, and they'll get suntan You know,
Mhm.
it'll be a totally different color than the rest of the cabinets. You'll be like, what the heck's wrong with this one? Did it get wet or something? It just sat in the sun all day. It's all done, especially cherry and walnut stuff like that.
Yeah. Very cool.
I've just shared a link in the chat to a YouTube channel. This is a new product that I came across. It's called Vista Sculpt. I haven't actually used it yet because they've been working on their website. But it will take a 2D photo and almost magically, to a point that it's unrealistic, that it'll actually produce a very proportional 3D relief. The one that they use in that YouTube video is off a fairly common one, a lion's head.
You
But
can
I'll
share
tell
the
you,
screen if you want.
oh no, I've shared the link for the video, but well, if you want to play it, and yeah, but yeah, no, that product, if it works the way they described, it does look fairly insane, actually.
I think I've seen that, and I've followed down some of the paths to the links and stuff that I found or saw, like ad pop-ups and stuff about AI to STL. You know,
Gotta watch the commercial first.
Ad blocker for YouTube.
Yeah. This what you're talking about?
Yeah, no, he also does a lion as well. He does a couple, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, and that's been generated from a flat 2D image. I can do similar stuff in ArtCam and in ZBrush and so on, but I have to control and draw lines and so on. These guys, it just pops straight out. That's just straight from the picture and a few little settings.
Yeah, I wish they had showed the process instead of the finished
Uh,
product.
I think he does.
Maybe let's see. Let's go forward.
Start with a lion. I'm pretty sure he does on the lion.
All right, let's see. I'm just clicking through, so I don't know where the lion is.
Yeah, I think you're actually going over it. You just jotted over it there. If you go back a little bit more, yeah, about there somewhere, and I'd say that he'll finish there. I saw him load the lion's head a little bit earlier, but
That
anyway. So that's actually creating the 3D model now. He didn't do no vectors or anything like that, as like to sort of like say raise this part higher or lower or anything like that.
mm-hmm. That's what it generated.
Like to get that to differentiate between the mane and the nose and the eyes, the heights, to get that good a proportion, I find that fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't been able to try the software yet myself.
And this is called Create 3D.
Vista Sculpt.
Vista Sculpt.
There is a link in their description.
And this is go ahead. It's using AI, I assume. Do this.
Yeah, it's using some kind of AI or something like that. And yeah, I've been itching to try the program out, but their website's been in they've been refabbing their website. It says please come back later.
Here, look at the detail on that nose.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna pop forward a little bit and then we'll it looks like it's trying to remove it from the background so that just get the 3D
The head.
portion. Yeah. Interesting.
Very.
Kind
Yeah.
of reminds me of the alligator swimming through the water. I'm sure you guys have seen that.
Save to watch later. All right, cool. No, thanks for sharing that, Ned.
Yeah, no, yeah, I had that saved aside. I was actually going to pop it in last week, but just got caught up with work.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a really good session last week with Milo, where he went into some detail about his fourth axis techniques. For uh, anyone who didn't check that out, man, it was good. It's one of um, the better times that we've had on here. Um, really, really good information.
Well, I'll have to go back and have a look.
Yeah, so I will throw a link to it.
So
to
how
that
so how are
particular
we
one.
doing? So how are we doing the Zoom now? Have you come to a? Are you still streaming through YouTube, through Facebook, or?
This is being streamed on YouTube right now.
Oh, okay.
Facebook, I still haven't found the solution to get Zoom back up on there. I've been on with Zoom customer support. Last week they had one solution that they were saying worked, and this week they've changed the documentation and now it doesn't say that anymore. So maybe I don't know whoever is doing Zoom inside groups right now, they must know the secret, and I'd like to know it as well. But uh, it has something to do with RTMP, um, and I haven't been able to get that set right. So, we're just gonna keep trying, and if the response on YouTube is as good this week as it was last week, then I'll probably just continue to
I
do
cannot
both.
hear you guys. I don't know what's happening.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
No.
I just, well, there's probably something, he's probably unplugged. Somebody wants to type to him in the chat. Because I can hear you, Ned. Can you hear me, Scott?
Yep.
Yep.
So it's you.
Hey, hang on a second. I've got a really creative way of talking to him. Where's my texter gone? Oh, great.
Anyway, that's the thing about live. You There's a million settings, and everybody has to be um, to the point where everything works. So
Turn my blur off.
yeah, yeah.
And it's back to front.
No, we can see it in the right
Okay.
orientation. Yeah. Anyway, hope he gets it sorted.
Back to the old techniques.
Yeah. Well, we're getting close on time anyway. We usually do this from 7 to 9 just so that I have a life. Because we always tend to go a little long, but if there was something that you're thinking about saying something about it, now would be the time.
Actually, there is something. It's not really with CNC routers. It's with 3D printers. I'm actually upgrading one of my enders to a new control board and putting on the BL Touch and stuff like that. And I was I've mostly been using a 3D Systems, which is the I'll think of their name, starts with T. It's a common name. A little up plus, and I've been upgrading a Ender 3, and I'm debating whether to go Clipper or Marlin, etc. I've got an very old style screen on the Ender 3, one of the early ones, which isn't supported. And I'm sitting there going, I don't really want to do the screen because I need the screen to do the homing to Z. And they're saying that the solution is to go to Clipper. Have any of you guys had any experience between Clipper and Marlin?
No.
Nope.
Um,
Okay.
no, I've been Cura most of the time.
Yeah, well, Cura will talk. I think Cura will talk to either. The difference is just the firmware that goes on the printer itself. I think you can still use all the same slices and so on,
mhm.
but you don't need to use Clipper to actually talk to the printer. You can just send the job to it.
Yeah, there's so many different slicers that are out there right now. It's just um I chose not to try and keep up. I chose one and stuck with it.
Yeah. Well,
And
as I said, I've been using a fairly old one, and
yeah.
there's a whole pile of new advances in what you can do on 3D printers, and I
Mhm.
thought, oh, let's give it a go and see what you can do with it, sort of thing.
Yeah, if I buy a Bamboo Labs carbon um multicolor 3D printer at some point, then I'll start looking into the other
I
things.
believe the Bamboo Labs is already on Clipper, or the new
Yeah,
Bamboo Labs on Clipper. Yeah, it's
yeah.
more so you can use it on your phone, and you can operate it through a browser on any computer and things like that, and operate multiple printers from the same computer remotely.
Yeah. Well, I thought that Bamboo Labs had a proprietary slicer. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
Um,
no, this is more to do with the actual internal control of the printer. Not
yeah.
this isn't related to the slicer itself. It's I don't know how much of an impact the slicer. As far as I'm aware, you can use any slicer. They still use G code,
Mhm.
but it's also how you operate and control the printers, that you can do it from a tablet or a phone or a PC in the next room, sort of thing, or from any computer, even remotely around the world, sort of thing, is the key thing about Clipper, which sounds attractive. But I was just looking at, do I go out and spend, because upgrading this Ender 3, you can go over here, you can buy a basic Ender 3, a new one, for around about $350 Australian. And it's sort of like I've spent $60 on a new control board on the 32-bit on the 64-bit controller, and I've spent money on this and spent money on that, spent money on the BL Touch, and you go, I could have just spent spent $400 and bought everything for it, sort of thing, already done, and I've already wasted 2 days in bloody modifying it, sort of thing. Yeah.
But it's the adventure.
It's the adventure, yeah, the
Yeah.
adventure we all
Make
need.
making it do something that it wouldn't do before.
Uh,
Yeah.
not normally I have this little standalone 150 by 150 or 6 inch by 6 inch. It's a tiny little printer. Yeah, it's actually
Mhm.
quite handy. So for over 95% of the stuff that I've needed to print, it's printed it fine. Most of the stuff I print is just like little bushes and little mounting brackets and stuff like that. I don't really do anything special. Yep.
Spinning
Spinning.
tops. You know. Yeah.
Have you guys ever, any of you guys ever print the flexible filament or even the wood filament?
I've
No.
done TPU, the flexible. I haven't
How's
tried the wood.
I've been looking at that for boots and stuff like that, like little ceiling boots on moving joysticks and things like that. I've been thinking about it, sort of thing, but I haven't actually seen one, what it looks like. So it looks pretty good, eh?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look bad. So it depends on the color you get. Um, but it's nice for flexible stuff that uh I won't say it's durable. Let me put it that way. I don't know if it's good for many years of work, but it's definitely good enough for something that if it's gonna fail in the next 6 months, you just print another one in an hour and stick it on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, exactly. Um, they're 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 using it for model airplane wheels, tires.
Okay.
and you know that seems to hold up very nicely. But um, frankly, I prefer to just go buy a set of tires and stick them on there. Uh,
Well, frankly, I'd probably make a mold for it out of. I'd 3D print a mold and just use RTV silicon. It'd be a lot more durable.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, you know, it's like anything. They did it because they could, and when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So you know,
That's true.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
one of my next projects, and funny enough, when I just went to have a look at the stream on Facebook when I mentioned it a second ago, I was looking at your previous week's little screenshots that you had, and you had an ice cream
mhm.
cone there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm going to be doing, it's a we have a. Are you guys familiar with the Australian ANZAC term, Australian New Zealand Army Corps? It's basically we've just had our ANZAC Day, and I got to print a little scaled down fire. It's a torch with a fire burning sort of thing,
Mhm.
and that ice cream cone was probably about 80% of the way there. I was
Yeah.
going, well, I might ask for that model.
Yeah, Milo did that, and he showed videos of that last week in the in this CNC mixer from last week, number 20. And actually, the number 20 is random because I know we've done a lot of I've been remiss in uploading each each week to YouTube so that folks can watch them later. I don't know how many we've done, to be honest. I've got them all, but the last verified number was 7. It's I know it's been a while. So, but Milo did a wonderful job, and he did that cone very fast. I don't know if you saw the video portion of it where he shows how he did it, but
I'll be having a look at it after this. I'll have some breakfast first, but yeah, I'll be having a look after this.
he did it with spiral tool paths that indexed. So he would wrap around one pass and then do the next one and the next one and the next one. And before you know it, he had the waffle cone laid out and he had and it was, if he had to do that same um, ice cream cone as a 4-sided tool path, you know, where you indexed it 4 times, it would probably take him 12 hours to complete that cone versus the 20 or 30 minutes he took to create it.
I'll have to have a look.
Yeah.
I'll be keeping an eye out on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has come up with some really good ideas on how to do stuff, thinking out of the box.
Yeah. And he explained a lot of it, and he Mark Lindsay and I will be getting together to do kind of a 4th axis um, series with him about it. You know, we'll take a project from start to finish and work through the way he does it, and then everybody will know how. So I'm looking forward to that. Um,
Get this baby plugged in.
I almost bought one of those off of AliExpress, I think. It's a trunnion table, two axis trunnion table, right?
Yeah,
So you end up with 5 axis if you use it in conjunction with a 3-axis machine.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, the other thing that I've got is I've got the rotary indexing chuck, which
Mhm.
sorry, it's a bed that you can either hold horizontally or vertically, and you can attach a chuck to it. And I was thinking, well, what about if I attach this to it, or even just, well, I suppose you could do it with this one here, and it was more so for the purpose of cutting, like if I needed to cut perfect round circles, because one of the things about CNC is you're actually cutting in facets. It's not
Yeah.
actually doing a spiral. It's doing these little tiny micro facets, and being able to just even having it on the table and being able to carve something that it rotates, and being able to cut a hole that's perfectly round will be a big benefit. So you'll technically be able to use it as like a lathe, basically. Yeah.
Ned, if you would turn off your blur and hold that up again so folks can get a better look at it, that'd be great.
Oh, cool. So basically, what we've got is this can tilt backwards and forwards.
Mm-hmm.
This rotates. So there's actually a stepper motor inside of this centerpiece, and it's got oh shit, that almost got me fingers. It's got a stepper off the side here. You can just see the stepper in the bottom of it down here.
Yep.
Yeah, when it's energized, look, you wouldn't be able to do, like, I suppose you could do brass or aluminium, but you'd have to do very light cuts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more intended for wax, plastics, as in burnout type wax, or actually
Yeah.
doing a wood sculpture. As long as you weren't too aggressive,
Mhm.
it would be quite good as well. But as I said, I've been looking at the 5-axis, and at one point, once I catch up on my projects, because apparently it's going to be a bit of an in-depth thing to actually get it, because to get it to achieve 5-axis cutting, I've got access to the software to generate the G code, but it will take a little bit of a learning curve and to getting everything aligned, and because you've got to define all of your tilts and angles so the CNC knows where the
Center of the bit is. Yeah.
yeah, well, it needs to know the center of the rotation. So you would need to, this center here will be fine, but you need to get the axis from the top of that table to the center over here to compensate for, like, so that it understands where the object is spatially. But that will obviously achieve a lot of you'll get to do all your undercuts and things like that. But you are limited to the size, as to what you can do on it. But yeah,
Are there any limit switches on that or anything that lets it know where it's? Yeah.
no, there isn't. I'd say it'll be a case of you've got to zero it, so you'd probably level it. That there's a few things like that I've got to work out what the software will require in order for me to actually to configure the machine to understand where the object is spatially once it is set.
It might be worthwhile to get some closed loop steppers so that you knew where things were and were repeatable, but I don't know.
Well, I've actually got encoders that I can attach to it, and as I said, the electronic side of it isn't overly a problem to add things to it. It's just more so haven't done it before, and it's going to be a whole new learning curve. And I'd say there'll be more than 2 days worth of bashing a wall with it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
well, very
so
cool.
yeah, but I've got the unit there, and one day I will give it a go, because one of the things that I do want to do, or that I'm looking at advancing towards, is, I guess the best way to describe it is jewelry work. Although I won't be doing jewelry, it'll be more badges and so on, military badges and stuff like that. So something like this will be brilliant to get the undercuts and and I would be doing it in engineer's wax or the burnout wax.
Yep.
So it doesn't need a lot of strength. But mind you, these steppers look like they're around about a 2 Newton meter with a good reduction on them. I'd say that it'll have a fair bit of torque to hold it, but just not enough to do full rough out. Yeah, like to do aggressive rough out. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, very cool. All right, guys, we're getting towards that time. Anything else, or shall we get ready to pull the plug here? Okay. Well, for those who are checking this out for the first time, we do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time in the US. And come join us. We have this as an open format through Zoom, and we post the link if you want to come and join us and talk about your CNC router tables or the projects that you're working on with it. We'd love to do that. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for coming. And if you want to check us out on Facebook, it's the hashtag CNC Router Tips group. And come on and join us and have a good time. Like and subscribe, everyone. Like and subscribe.
Thank you. I gotta do this.
All right.
You guys have a good night.
Have a great night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Bye.
Night.